So good evening, everyone. Today we'll be talking on designers as system creators, as the evolving one of an architect in the age of AI. Well, this concept is actually not a very new concept, but something that we really need to explore. And I would really start with a question. I'll start by a question, and the question is, who am I? Because I believe first, before we find out our roles as architects, we need to understand who we are as an individual. And with the understanding of who we are as a person, then we can understand who we are as an architect. And then we can understand who we are or what role we play as architects. Then the next best question I would ask, which is the most popular question we have in any architectural webinar, is what is architecture? And definitely architecture has various meanings. People have defined architecture in vast majorities of ways. But the question here is architecture just about the object, the building, or the process? Is it about form, space, or relationship? But I would say architecture shapes relationship. And going further, I further have a theory that architecture is a bridge between sociology, ecology, philosophy, psychology, economics, geology, ethnographic studies, and the likes. So the concept of architecture being a bridge is that sociology, which manages the interactions of people, architecture being the bridge connecting people and the environment and how people feel in our space, psychology. So the next question is, what is a system? So systems are interconnected elements that is influenced by context. It's defined by structure, the functions and the roles, and expressed through its relations with other systems. As a system is more like the sum part of various things, and when expressed within, it works as a whole. That's the flows and the feedbacks, the inputs, the processes, the outputs. And what is system thinking and the origin of system thinking? So system thinking was dated back to the mid-20th century, as emerging from the need to understand complex interconnected phenomena rather than isolated parts. That includes the industrial complexity, the cybernetics, which is the interdisciplinary study of control, communication, and feedback in both machines and living organisms. In our case, human beings and technology, AI, system thinking, the understanding of how all these things work. And also ecology, which is the scientific study of how organisms interact with one another and their physical environment. And if you really think deep about this is architecture. We are organisms, and how do we interact with our environment, with our living environment? That's the buildings, the structures, and so on and so. The evolution of the profession. So dated back to the 19th century, to the time of old, architects as solitary creators were seen to be the star architects, focusing on master play and on massing, something that brings concept to life. We're seen as the sole originator of certain ideas. But bringing it down into context, architects need to act as system creators, as orchestrating complex, intelligent system that manages social and digital data. So what is system thinking in architecture really? System thinking encourages less of static thinking and more of dynamic thinking. That's you thinking about how the whole processes work. how thinking about the whole, the structure, the environment as a whole, the ecology, the economics, are not just about the building, because there are various factors that influences architecture, the economy, psychology, it all influences architecture. And system thinking, it's the ability to curate and organize all these things together. So what does it really mean? What does architect as a curator of system mean? So traditionally, architects were seen as designers of buildings, objects. But today, and even more with AI, the role is shifting towards designing and managing systems, such as the environmental system, as the climate, how we consider climate when we design energy, water, the social system, how people interact, how we move, how we gather, how we dialogue with one another. It's all in the environment. The digital system, AIs, building sensors, smart buildings, and the construction system, the parametric, the computational designs, the automated fabrications. The idea of bringing this together as a whole and curating it. So instead of saying I design a building, the mindset becomes I curate relationship between people, technology, environment, and space. So with the age we are getting into, we really need to reshape how we think. Yes, AI has come to our space and it has come to stay. It's not going anywhere. It helps our works faster. I'll give a very big example. Visualizers who wants to visualize, AI has the ability to do that in a couple of seconds. And now you ask yourself, where does it leave me as an architect? How do I go further from here? AI has come to take what I know how to do best. But on the contrary, the concept behind system thinking is the ability for AI to do its job while you curate how it works on it. It's a very simple process where while AI does what he does best, collecting data, transforming this data into real-time visuals, real-time images, real-time data, you as the architect, as a curator, have the ability to think about the other aspect of things, that is the sociology, the economics, and make the decisions while it generates these designs. So curating is more like selecting and organizing, refining and giving meaning. You are not just creating for the scratch, you are orchestrating complex inputs into a coherent experience. So the shift in roles. Going further as architects, we would move from being that sole designer to more of the curator, where we give it, where we manage how other things works. And we'll move from being just an author to decision making, having AI producing the images, producing the data, and we step in to make the decisions, because at the end of the day, it's all iterations of ideas. So architects are system curators. So we architects, we curate data. Data gotten from what we get from the environment, data gotten from the tools we use, and the experience as well. Can you hear me now? Okay. Sorry, I don't know where I left off. I don't know. If you just remind me. Maybe I'll start from here then. Let me start from here. I really do not know where I went off.
No, please speak
So I didn't get
so
that.
now.
We can't see your slide.
Oh, okay. Can you see the slides now?
Yes.
Okay, so please, where did I stop, or where did?
We had gone past this a little.
Okay, yeah.
We've gone past this as well. Up to the this is you can start from here.
Okay. So while I was speaking about architects as system curators, we in this century, in the time we have come to enjoy, if I would put the word, we have done more of visual perception of how we perceive architecture over the other parts of architecture. And that is one of the reasons why I gave that definition of architecture, that architecture is a bridge between various aspects of things, the ecology, geography, geology, and more or less, and we have come to put too much attention to the aesthetic part of architecture. And with the rise of AI, being system creators, we tend to focus and shift our focus from the aesthetic aspect of it into the more sensory aspect, the physical aspect, as how we perceive these buildings, how these buildings tend to shape us. Because to be honest, whatever geometry we really want to do, AI can do it better. Whatever crazy form we really want to do, it can do it better. So we as creators, we tend to create more how we experience the spaces. And we'll give a very big scenario. You have AI coming to do your design to tell you, oh, produce this, produce that, why he generates this, and it's really fast, it's really nice. The ability of us as would be like, I'm designing a 5-bedroom and AI generates the layout, generates the design. Maybe it gets to that advanced level where you can use AI to do all these things. And you say yourself, oh, AI has done all the job. What is left for me to do? So the question, what's left for me to do? It's now where architecture begins. That is where the curation starts. Because that is where you will now think, oh, my client says he likes his bedroom in this particular style, and my client and his wife has a particular taste things. They get angry a lot. They tend to fight more in the bedroom. So what do we do as architects? That is where you now consider the sensory aspect of things, how those color shape moves. And you tell this AI, young man, translate this, turn the room into a particular color, into a particular style, while you do your research on the other aspect of things, while you do your research on the economics, how it influences your architecture, while you do your research on the ecology, the environment, etc. I was reading a book by Juhani Palsama. The name of the book is called Eye of the Skin, and it encourages going beyond the ocular sensitrism, which is more of just the visual aspect of things, and it encourages the haptic. It encourages haptic curation, that is avoiding the cancerous route of just vision, of just beauty, but by curating for the body's incarnate relation with the environment, which is the peripheral vision that enfolds the subject in the space and transforms the retinal data into bodily experience. AI, no doubt, generates focus gestures, but we architects, we curate and design the atmospheres. I was watching a podcast yesterday, and the architect said something. He said, we are living in the 21st century with the most advanced tool we can possibly have, at the most advanced software we can possibly get, but our hardwares are still primitive. And what is our hardware? Our hardware is our body, our skin. And for a fact, I would say we as human beings have not evolved much. We've not grown skills. I would say we've even grown softer. So we having this software as advanced as possible is here to serve us, the hardwares, and it's creating beautiful designs has to suit our environment. And that is where the architects comes in. The haptic material, how we feel, how we touch, how we perceive space. The shape of the true architectural quality depends on multi-sensory abilities beyond eye, beyond sight, that the AI model often fails to capture. And that's the acoustic intimacy, that's the thermal property, and the dimensions of time. So beyond the psychological and beyond the physical and beyond the um, what's the word, haptic curation. AI has really helped in the development of systems, and it's happening now, but we fail to see it. I'll quote a particular scripture in the Bible that says that we have eyes, but we do not see. So why saying this is, I'll give a reference. Before now, AutoCAD was the big boy. AutoCAD was what we used to create, what many people used to buy car, what most of my lecturers used to buy their car. We said AutoCAD is this, AutoCAD is that. It was something. And over time, it has evolved into a system where we can do minimal tasks in the collaboration with various professionals within our space. The beginning of Revit, parametric design, Grasshopper Rhino, it started from a research on how to designing systems, and it was something that was initiated by the late Frank Gehry, who died few months back. And this tool, which we think is not AI, which is just softwares, has given us the ability to do so much in so little amount of time, and have the ability to work with the MEP designers, the structural designers, real time on the same project. So that is we curating this process, but more in the now that's more hands on it. But what AI would come to do is it gives us the automacy of letting it do what he does, while we, on our end, create our designs and create the systems. So universal systems, that's natural systems, that's interconnected natural systems, how the earth shapes, that's the order through relationship, etc. We are the creator of those things, because in the Bible, Genesis, it says man were created to maintain the earth. So we as architects, we have the ability, and we are given that mandates, if I would call it that, to maintain and curate the earth and shape it in the way we want to shape it. So we as curators, AI is just a tool and an assistant. And in reflection, design as a design as participation in system, it's democratizes creation and shifting from I designed for to designing with, to address complex human-centric problems. And the key principles includes co-design, empowerment, iterative design, which is what AI does for us, and the community-driven process. So for the urban system, mobility, economy, environment, all these are aspects that AI has given us the ability to autonomously control and curate. So systems in layers. So I put a video here.
We can't hear the audio.
Okay, no problem. So pretty much what this image tries, I don't know how to change my audio now, but what it's trying to explain is, when planning urban design and when planning urban layouts, they tend to study the part of how human moves and the movement of people. And when people make their movements, then they now design their layout and their greenery from that. So that is how that is how we would work in juxtaposition to the AI and in juxtaposition to the new tools that is coming on board. We curate how with the data he has given us. Okay, no problem. I'll drop the link. And through the mobilities, that social, the environmental, and digital as well. So AI in designs, which is the generative and the simulative AIs. So this is a case study of the neural card and text to bin. So neural card foundation model built to understand cards and geometry and design intentions. Conceptual changes rippled automatically through detailed system, ensuring structural dependency are maintained as a parameter shift. You see, this machine can generate an infinite number of configurations, but the curator, that is you and I, the architects, identify the meaningful place. After the beautiful thing he has done, we now put it into context, now put it into shape and give meaning to the beautiful things it has done. So the question we'll be asking is, what future skills do we really need as architects to navigate this journey and to ride the waves of the new future we are having? And it's more of system thinking, understanding how things work. I believe AI has given us the liberty to have a little bit of idea on vast majorities of fields ones I talked about, so we can understand how various things work, how systems work, and how we can simultaneously put them together for better spaces. And we need to have good judgment system after the model has generated different ideas and different iteratives. We need to know what suits our environment, what suits our context, what suits our culture, and how to implement it. Collaborations as well, having to collaborate with various professions, having to collaborate with various tools, and ethics. Ethics is the most important aspect of things here. So the practical case studies, during the research, I did a lot of case studies, and there are a couple firms who are using these systems currently. And one of the firms is Zaha Hadid Architects. And they tend to curate their designs. They tend to curate their processes and their designs with the aid of AI. So AI has given them the autonomy to do other things and to reconceptualize, bring various iterations of designs, while considering the various aspects of things, different aspect that helps improve the life of humans. And the next firm is Big, Norman Foster, Cedric Computer, and etc. That the Big has implemented this as well, having to utilize AI to do various iterations of designs. And while I was watching a podcast from the Akinjo the other day, he said that AI is just more like CAD. And if you really think back to those days, paraphrasing his words, he said people are more like AI tools. He gives the prompting to them, he tells them what tasks to do, they design it, he looks at the work, he tells them no, reiterate on the design, and that's simply what AI is here to do. You give it a work, he brings something, and I say, no, this doesn't work. He reiterates, he brings something better. And this is how he has implemented these systems into his designs and giving him the privilege and the opportunity or the freedom to think on various aspects of designs. So this is just an example of the autonomy of system thinking. So this is a sketch done by a particular person, by a student, and he placed it on whatever AI tool he used. I'm not so sure what he used, and it generated this. So the concept behind it, I really do not know. But what he explained to me was he needed to try various ideas and how the systems would work while he was thinking on the other aspect of the building, because he had the idea of the form, he had something that he wanted to work with, but he needed to know how the structural members would work, how the systems would work, how he would plan the layout and every other thing. So while he sent this prompt onto GPT, he was considering this aspect of things. And this is a practical example of curating. That is creating how the system works, how you tell GPT to do this, it does that. Bring a render, it has a render, it has a concept diagram, it has elevations, it has various things. Though at this point, I don't think this looks accurate, but this is a framework and this is a baseline for him to work with. And going further, as the tools keeps advancing, we need to build our ability to analytically think and curate these systems the way we deem fit, not it curating us. So we need to have the knowledge on what it creates, because I really think about this. AI really cannot take your job because for this reason that you put in, if you put in an image there and you really do not understand what composition or what framing or what rule of third or what overcast is in visualizations, and you put it there and create something crazy and creating something nice, you will not get the best result as someone who understands visualization and gives it the prompt of create a nice high-rise building with overcast sky and shadow falling from left and right with various aspects of things. That helps curate and helps understand things. And even when it brings out a result for you, as a curator, is your ability to understand this result and say this is not what suits your context. So more than ever, architects as curators, we need to be more informed and we need to be more knowledgeable on various aspects of things. And this is another example of the work I did the other day. I think I shared this sketch during one of our Sunday classes. So I tried using GPT and some other softwares to bring up various options. And it did that in a matter of seconds. And the first render was something I tried. I prompted it and told it, no, I only needed it to be a church in so locality, Lagos, blah, 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 blah. And it produced this next one. And while it's curating this, if I were to work on this design, you would think of various aspects. It gives you time to think on the aspect that matters. And I'll give an instance of homes where people stay in and they get sick. I was watching a video by Snag Inspector on Instagram, and he was doing a renovation for a house where he was telling the young man that, come on, do you want your mommy to die of sickness in this house? That the interior space doesn't look so conducive, this, that. And I believe with the aid of AI, as you design the exterior, as you design the buildings, you have the time to design how the systems and how the spaces work. So this is a quote by Buckminster Fuller, which was one of the inspiration of this research. And he said, when he is thinking of a problem, when I'm thinking of a problem, I never think about beauty, but when I have finished. If the solution is not beautiful, I know it is wrong. I mean, you need to reiterate. So the key takeaway here is architecture is synonymous to curated relationship between we human beings and our environment, the relationship between we human beings and the professionals, relationship between the architects, the civil engineer, the structural engineer, the government, economics, because that is the backbone of a city's infrastructure, and the infrastructure is the architecture. And it's just that interconnected relationship. And it is going to be our task in the future to curate all these professionals for the built environment where we as humans would live in. So the value differentiator is, as AI handles the low-level task, the ability to think architecturally, reasons about trades-off and resilient system becomes the differentiator. Humans' judgment remains the defining multiplier for the algorithmic outputs. So the closing here is, we as architects curate system that shapes life. And a quote from me, a working system creates beauty. Thank you. So please, if you have any contribution, if you have questions to ask, please, you can shoot. But the concept behind this talk and this webinar today, or behind this research, is to open our minds and open our hearts to where we are going. That we as young architects, we need not to snooze. because I know many people who snooze during the era of CAD. There's many of our older architects now. Now they don't know how to use the BIM softwares, and they would have to pay dearly to just understand those systems. But we are evolving, and everything evolves. Human being evolves, climate change, human beings change, and we also, as designers, as professionals, we need to evolve. And the more we open our minds to these things, it's better for us. As no doubt we can go about our daily lives, our daily designs, but as we keep moving, we need to have it in mind that we need to consider the system thinking, how we can embrace and utilize and curate the use of these systems rather than fighting against it. So this evening, I went to the office and I was speaking with a senior architect at Arena, and he just gave a very beautiful analogy where he said he has three interns. He calls them interns, and the name of the interns were Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claudia AI. So he says he pays his interns to do his work, and those interns is while he's dealing on this task, they are dealing on their own task. And when he sees that Claudia doesn't give him what he wants, this is not what he wants. He goes and tells Claudia, the AI, that young man, we reiterate, do something better. And this is him curating, organizing systems. In his decks, in his very decks, he can call the structural engineer, do this, do that, connects the Claudia AI because he paid for it, and so he can connect it to various people. This is the data that you've gotten from here, implement it in your own end and generate something from that. And this is how we curate systems and put these things together. I wasn't able to compile everything I needed to compile because it's a lot of research. So there is a video I had of Tomorrow Studios. He had to go to, I think, Barcelona. I'm not sure. He had to go to a computational design lab where he saw how the systems thinking was implemented real time. And it is happening. It has come to play and it has come to stay. It is more advanced in the Western country than it is here. And the more we open our minds to how these things work, the easier for us to adapt to this new wave of evolution. And I would like to end with dated back in history, the distance between the Stone Age to the next was about a century. And as we kept coming further, industrial age to the technological age, the gap kept on reducing. That means the time it takes for us to get from maybe the internet age or the what is this? I am missing my train of thought. The gap it takes for us to get from the industrial age to the technological age was shorter and thinner between that of the Stone Age thereabouts. So that means we really need to evolve as it goes faster. And in terms of evolution, we need not to lose the skills which we pointed out, create critical thinking, decision making, ethics. Those are important for us. Those are like our tools. Those are our armor of faith on this journey of AI. Thank you. Please, if you have questions, you can shoot. And I hope you understand.
Okay, thank you so much, Cole. So yes, if you have questions, you can really can say some previous events. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. Okay, so Marianne, you have a question. I think you can also unmute yourself and ask a question.
Yeah, thank you. Good
Oh,
evening, everyone.
Probably. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening,
Yeah, I can
everyone.
actually hear you.
All right. Thank you, Cole. Thank you for the presentation. It was a very wonderful one, and I paid attention to I think from the middle of the presentation to the end because I joined in late. But the message was clear. The message is clear, right? And we can all agree now that AI is here to help. AI is here to serve us as architects. We shouldn't run away from AI, right? And this, we are so glad that we are now equipped with this knowledge. It's a work in progress, right? So I just have some few comments to just add, not really a question, because I found myself using AI, the likes of Gemini, to um just inform my design and see if I can do something really cool. And I saw like it happened in seconds. I'm like, I don't want to be too proud because one of the things I think our lecturers, architects of like 60s, 80s, they were too proud to learn 3Ds for visualization. They were just like the AutoCAD age. So now they will now start telling you to come and help them do 3Ds for free. Some of them start telling you to come and be loyal so that you can be an intern under them. And at the end of the day, you're not really learning because these guys, some of them have just decided to be AutoCAD generation. But our generation, we are blessed and we are glad to be experiencing AI even in the sphere of architecture. So I would like to say this, that Cole, your presentation has like given us should I say a baseline now, and every one of us should be ready. It doesn't end here. It's a work in progress, like I said. This is like an introduction and an eye-opener, but I'm looking forward to where we as young architects can go in to AI properly and start designing our own models. Gemini can do some of these designs for us, but I believe that there are some AIs that can be trained, some models that can be trained to do specific architecture tasks. I tried to learn Rhino one time, and I noticed that Rhino is a whole lot of coding. You need to know some basic coding knowledge. I'm like, how am I going to do this? I just left it because I was not ready for it. My own is I just need to start. How do I start getting nines, 3Ds, producing my ideas, like bringing out my ideas, visualizing it in seconds or as quick as possible? Because I noticed that, okay, the 3D software I'm using, which is ArchiCAD, I couldn't do much. I just want to get this Zaha Hadid design, but I realized that I need to go and learn the likes of Rhino and some other software. So I think the transition has happened, right? We are not transiting now, because even these our BIM softwares have been designed based on artificial intelligence. Just that it's not really known now. Now we are aware that artificial intelligence has been existing in architecture, in the field of architecture. Let us all grab this opportunity. Me, I don't mind. I'm ready to forfeit Revit. And if there's a model that is trained in seconds, I can bring out my nice idea. What am I looking for? I can put it and present. The client understands. Everyone in the team can relate. I can come out with working drawings. I can come out with detailed drawings with it. I think we should all embrace it. And I know that in future, models like this will start coming out. So let's all get ready. Let's be prepared to embrace it. Well done, Cole. Well done to the organizers. And this was an eye-opener. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Marianne. Thanks, Marianne. So if you still have any other question, I think you can just raise up your hand. Then we would receive your question. Yeah, so just for something practical, I think you can just take from today. I think we can all agree with what Marianne said was that, or which I will just say in this way. The tools that we actually need, the tools that are visualizing in our head that, oh, we used to do this, we used to do this. Everything is actually created by we architects, right? Um, every technological breakthrough, especially in our field, we actually started from architects. So when you look at, for example, from Gary, right, when he actually started doing um, some of his weird shit, right, they used the same software that they used for designing aeroplanes then, right? So again, they were the ones really doing the testing and putting their legs into the ground themselves, right? And when we even look at, for example, there was a time where you couldn't join Revit and Rhino together, right? And the person that really created um, Rhino Inside, right, was an architect, right? Person that created that was an architect, right? So I think it's just something that we can just all agree that we are still the ones that would create these products ourselves, create these systems ourselves, and actually be the ones to actually pioneer this thing we're calling AI, right? Also, what I wanted to say, which is the practical thing that you can be able to take from this, I think every one of us will be able to kind of search for what an MCP is. An MCP model, forgotten the full name, but it's a way of connecting a model to the API of a software, right? It's called the model context protocol, right? So, for example, there is a Claude MCP for Revit, right? So what that means is that it takes its Claude understands Revit's API, right? And it's able to actually manipulate whatever you're trying to do in Revit, right? So again, just something for us to play with, right? So it's the same. There are more MCPs for Rhino than Revit, and I'm sure there should at least be for ArchiCAD, right? So the whole idea is that design by you can actually design by just text prompts, right? I mean, create models by just text prompts. So yeah, there are different types of MCPs and there are different ways of connecting um, known AI models, right, that we already know to our architectural software. So I think that's just where most of us can really even just start if you are really trying to really enter this AI thing. Right. Yes, any other person has a question or a contribution? Any question, any contribution? You probably have uh something that's probably been bothering you, right? You can actually also ask. Okay. Favor. Okay, favor has a question. Yeah, please, you can mute yourself.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Hi,
Thank
Favor.
you, Cole, for a very insightful session. Really happy to be here. And my question is around if I say, for instance, a young student architect, I'm a young student architect, for instance, and I just want to, start getting educated on how to use AI for my architectural school internship or whatever. And I have a lot of options and recommendations for from people or from fellow students and all of that. And the information seems so ambiguous, and I need like a straight path, something that I can be consistent with, maybe like a platform to learn from. I just want to ask, Cole, what would you recommend? Maybe like a YouTube channel or a community where I can begin to learn as a beginner and just continue to grow from there.
Okay, thank you very much, Shiva, for your beautiful question. And I would start by giving the analogy that I gave initially, where I said the distance between the Stone Age to the Industrial Age is quite a long time, maybe 100 years, a century. And maybe the distance between the Industrial Age to the Technological Age was a bit shorter, maybe 40 years, maybe 50 years. And now between that period of time to now has become shorter. So I'll start by saying that if anybody recommends any AI to you, learn everything, try everything, because as you keep evolving, the period of learning and the period of growing becomes shorter. So when you explore various tools, it's easier for you to know which to use and which not to use. Before now, I didn't know nothing about Gemini. Before now, I knew nothing about Claudia. But Gemini is out, Claudia is out, and there are more coming day in, day out. Every once you check online, you see new tools to use. And you think, oh, you are comfortable with this, and you find out that, oh, ChatGPT cannot do what Gemini does, and Gemini cannot do what Claudia does, and Claudia cannot do what Red. There's a new AI that does video now. So I will just share all my reference material. There's a particular video I would show, and I hope it plays. So it's from Damili, where you have they did an illustration where all these AIs came together to produce a particular design. So the idea is not to learn one AI, but to use all of them. That is the idea behind the systems, to coordinate all these tools together for the use, for your own use. So for a young architect who wants to learn this AI, I feel you need to learn the principles that's of architecture, of designs. You need to know who you are. That's why I asked the question, who are you initially? You need to understand who an architect is, understand the principles. And once you understand the principles, explore these different tools. And while you explore the different tools, you use them for their different purposes and their strengths. ChatGPT knows how to tell stories. Perplexity is data driven. Gemini creates wonderful image thanks to Nano Banana and so on. But all these things you coordinate together for your own use. So it's not just in one aspect of things, which should I learn or which should I not learn. It's AI is different from softwares. Softwares take a longer time to learn. AI just a couple of seconds, you have gotten the hang of it. I hope I answered the question. Okay, thank you, Favor.
All right then. All right then. As we are even rounding up, let me just mention two things. Again, if you have something to say, I think you can really just also, based on what Favor said. So if you have something to say, you can really just raise up your hand and you will just get to be able to speak. So two things I wanted to mention was that one, um, your use of AI should not come first. It should be your process first. So what I mean is that you should have a process to the way you design, or at least you have an idea of what you want to design or how you want your design to be, right? So, for example, you know that you start with a brief by understanding your brief, right? So understanding your brief is now what you would now say, okay, I need AI to understand this better and broader, right? Or you will not say that, okay, you will not all the way give it your brief and tell it to give you five concepts, right? It will give you five concepts, right? But it's almost you jumping your logs, right? Or jumping your steps, right? So it's more like an assistant. Whenever you get stuck, for example, something I usually do, let's say for example, I don't understand how to set up something, right? I mean, even especially when I'm designing on like Revit. So I just take a screenshot. Um, I usually use Gemini, just give it the context of what I'm trying to do. Okay, I'm doing this is what I'm gonna do. So what do you think, right? Just how do I solve this, right? What are other systems I can be able to use, right? So that way you have a backlog of information where you can even stand stronger, right? When your MEP your MEP engineer tells you that, oh, this cannot work, right? So you tell it that, calm down, calm down, calm down. See, I've seen this. I've seen that there's something called this, right? Have you seen it before? The one who says, no, I've not seen it before. Oh yeah, nah. Oh yeah, let's do our own research on it and see how we can use this in this design, right? So AI will just make your design to be, or your design process more like an assistant, enhancing your design process. So the other things I wanted to mention was, I think, some of the AI tools that I would say that are strong in my own opinion, right? And again, if you have other opinions to this, please also just raise your hand and let's also have this conversation. So for rendering, I would say that one of the best is still D5's AI now, and that is in the context of enhancing, right? But when it comes to image generation, right? Uh, I would say comfy UI. So comfy UI is not, it's not an AI generation model. It is more like um it is a software where you can be able to use different um image generation models, AI models, to be able to generate your images. But what makes it different is the system at which it works. So the way you um import materials your uh to your rendering software is kind of similar, but this one is like node based, right? But this is stronger. MC is stronger. And I've seen more professionals actually use this and connect this to other softwares. That's one. I will say two again. I'm mentioning MCPs. So MCP is actually something that was introduced by Anthropic. Anthropic are the ones that own Claude. So you would find a lot of MCPs for softwares. If you want to get for Revit, check Revit, AutoCAD, sorry, Autodesks, sorry, yeah, Autodesks. Um, they are family marketplaces. That was called. I can't remember again. So, right, but where you can be able to get Autodesk family on their website, you will find Claude's MCP. But for Rhino, if you use Rhino and you want to get sure, you'll find that in Food for Rhino, right? You'll find that MCP. So that's actually that. For the generic one, I know a lot of people use ChatGPT, which is also good. Um, I kind of tilt towards Gemini, especially when it comes to deep research, and also Perplexity when it also comes with like research. Yeah, yeah. So let's even also hear other people. What AI tool do you use, and what do you use it for? Especially if I've not mentioned, or even if I've mentioned, just yeah, let's just hear from you. Anyone?
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, good news.
So, I mean, for me, I I switch mainly between I switch mainly between ChatGPT and Gemini. Uh, I use I have I use the paid version of ChatGPT. So I find that it's the difference between like using ChatGPT free and using ChatGPT paid is worlds apart. So when people so when people say, "Oh, ChatGPT is not good enough," or "it cannot do this well enough," I'm usually like I reserve my comments because like when you switch to paid ChatGPT, it's like they locked the true potential of that thing behind the paywall. But anyhow, what I use it for mainly one of the things that I've used it for the most in recent times is benchmarking. So some of my work has involved, working on competitions and stuff like that. So I use it for benchmarking. I give it as much information as I can, and I tell it to give me a benchmark for what I am supposed to produce. So it's like a brief development tool, and that's what I use it for. So it kind of helps me dive deeply into the things that I may not see on the surface of the brief, to determine what is most important, so what I need to pay attention to. Another reason I like using ChatGPT is because ChatGPT still gives you a lot of room to think. Like, it doesn't jump to the well, in some cases it can, but you can you can use it such that it doesn't jump to conclusions as quickly, and it allows you to think through the process a little bit slower. That might sound a little bit counterintuitive because we're talking about speed, 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 speed. But I personally, I don't know about other people, I personally still like to have my mind fully involved in what I'm doing. So I don't completely relegate the thinking to the AI, right? So that's one of the things I use ChatGPT for. I use Gemini mainly for image enhancements and image generations. One of the things that I found is very good for iterating. You find that when you're working with design, you come up with a lot of ideas, and one of the major issues is you don't know which one to go with. So being able to visualize those ideas as fast as possible without having to draw a line in Revit or model something in SketchUp is a very big advantage. So I use Gemini for that. I use Gemini for post-production of renders as well. I know that there are some artificial intelligence tools that are, better for image generation. I am also not ready to completely forfeit my image generation process to AI, but it's something that I'm getting open-minded to, right? So I switch mainly between those two, but I find that what I use it for the most is just to augment my thinking. Architects or designers, we question things. One of your best skills as a designer is your ability to question things. So look at something that appears to be complete, but then question it to the point where you notice its flaws. And AI does that for you. So I use it for a lot of critical thinking. I use it to, whenever I have an idea of something, before I start drawing, I run it like, okay, this is what I'm thinking could work. These are some issues that I think could come up. You know how people say when you solve a problem, you create another problem with that solution. So I use it to envisage all the possible problems that can come up with the solution that I'm preferring to whatever it is that I'm dealing with. So basically, the short answer to the question, I cycle between Nano Banana or Gemini for AI generation, and I use ChatGPT for most of the thinking and like the background structure and things like that. But I've been seeing a lot of stuff online about Claude. One of these days, I'll probably take the time to see how far I can push it and see if there's anything I can do with it. But like Cole said, it's not enough. The best way to find out what works is to use as many as possible. Before I settled for ChatGPT and Nano Banana, I had tried many. I've used Claude before as well. I've used Perplexity before. The other ones I've used Chrome, Visoid. These are the OGs of image generation. Like they came up around the same time with Midjourney and DALL-E. So Chrome, Visoid, like the OGs before Google came out with Nano Banana and pushed everybody out of the way. So I used all of those, and I just settled for these. But the goal is throw yourself in the deep end. Especially if you're a student, there aren't as many things at stake. So just try something, put something inside. Let's generate the rubbish you want to generate and frustrate you, and try again. I just keep going like that until you figure out which ones work best for what you need it for in the time being. So that's my contribution.
All right, thank you so much, bro. Any other person? Any other person? Any other person who has heard of Arena AI? Um, so again, probably something that we can all just check out. So this is a compilation of different AIs. The people that created this, the whole goal was to actually just compare different AI models. So if you actually, I think is in me using it, I've seen that using it is especially for image like when post production. Its image generation side of things is very strong, very very strong. So it's what I did was that I used the same nano banana model on Arena with the same prompt with the same base image on Arena and on Gemini, right? And again, some of them were now running with nano banana, and the difference was very very clear. If that's the case, right? Yeah, cool, cool, please.
Um, sorry, just so that I will add, and I'll just want us to go with it. The presentation, the idea behind it is that we should see AI beyond image generation. It is not just about generating images and generating beautiful renders. We should use it as a means to enhance our creative process, where we see architecture beyond beautiful renders and beautiful image and nice facades. That's one of the reasons why I recommended Eye of the Skin, so that you understand how you curate spaces that make people truly feel. And I was watching a movie the other day, and I just thought about Chris Sanders, who is the production designer for a particular movie, the robot. And he mentioned that we really need to put the soul back into our designs. Yes, AI has given us the privilege to come up with various iterations, but we really need to give that architecture what architecture really is. We really need people to feel something when they come into your space. So I think that's like what I want to add. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I think let's just drop a reaction. We would really be we would be ending things now.
I have one last thing to add, if time permits.
Um, So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for thank you callers, thank you, thank you, please, everyone that actually joined. Um, thank you so much for everyone for joining. So again, this is Learnarchi, and this is what we do. We'll be having a design review tomorrow, which is Saturday by 7 p.m. the same time by that we started this. I will be reviewing or be looking into a particular building that will be sending to the group soon. So yeah, please let's just make sure that we join us tomorrow. We'll be learning about design and looking into an architect or a building that was designed already. Then we tear it down. Yeah. Okay, so thank you everyone again for joining. We'll see you tomorrow by 7. Yeah, everyone, please have a very, very good night.